You felt it, didn't you? That strange forensic silence that descended after the last full moon. It was a quiet unlike any you'd known before. Not peaceful, but pregnant with meaning. A feeling of being watched, scanned, assessed by an intelligence that felt both ancient and intimately familiar. You were told it was a checkpoint, a cosmic audit of your soul's integrity, a necessary moment of scrutiny, and for many of you, the profound silence that followed was even more unsettling than the feeling of being watched. The synchronicities, those comforting winks from the universe, seemed to vanish. The path forward, once illuminated by celestial whispers and repeating numbers, became foggy, indistinct, shrouded in an unfamiliar mist. You were left in a strange, hollowed-out space, a spiritual waiting room, wondering with a quiet ache if you had passed the test or failed entirely. You asked for a sign, and the universe gave you a deafening silence. But what if that silence wasn't a verdict? What if it wasn't an ending at all? What if it was the necessary clearing of the line, the absolute stillness required before a crucial, high-frequency transmission of unimaginable importance could begin? Understand this: the lunar audit was never the final event. It was the diagnostic. It was a planetary-scale system check, scanning the entire energetic network of this world, identifying the nodes, the souls, that had achieved a state of being stable enough, clear enough, and strong enough to handle what was always planned to come next. And what is coming next is not a reflection, not a feeling, not a gentle nudge from a guide. It is a direct, targeted, biological, and energetic intervention. A signal is being sent from the very heart of our solar system, and it is designed with cosmic precision to activate something that has been asleep within the very core of your being, within the coils of your DNA for thousands upon thousands of years. We are not talking about your personality or your potential. We are not talking about the wounds you carry from this lifetime or the karma you are working to resolve. We are going deeper, to a level that precedes all of that. We are talking about your fundamental blueprint, your DNA, but not the biological double helix that science has meticulously mapped and categorized. We are speaking of its invisible counterpart, the dormant, multidimensional, crystalline structure that exists within the empty space of your genetics. A second, etheric helix of pure light and information. This is your spiritual DNA, the God code. For millennia, this divine portion of our human instruction set has been intentionally offline. It was powered down during a great cosmic downturn, a conscious and necessary descent into a lower density of consciousness. For the experience of separation and forgetting, it was not a punishment, it was a protective measure, a spiritual fail-safe designed to prevent immense creative and psychic power from being misused in a world drowning in fear, competition, and your ancestors carried this. They lived and died with this divine library sealed within their cells. All war, sensing its presence only through the language of myth, the whispers of magic, and a deep, aching longing for a home they could not name or remember. They passed it down, generation after generation, a silent, sleeping inheritance of unimaginable worth, waiting for a specific cosmic alarm clock to ring. That time is now. The cosmic cycle has turned. The vibration of the planet itself, the baseline frequency known as the Schumann resonance, has reached the necessary threshold. The long, dark winter of our collective consciousness is over, and the signal to reboot this dormant system, to bring the divine library of your soul back online, is finally being sent. This signal is not coming from the reflective, feminine energy of the moon. It's coming from the direct, masculine, activating principle at the very heart of our solar system. The sun. But again, not in the way you are used to thinking about it. This is not about the chaotic burst of solar flares, or the magnetic storms that disrupt our satellites and create beautiful auroras. This is a solar zenith transmission, a highly coherent, laser-like beam of light-encoded information pulsing at a frequency that the unawakened human body and its scientific instruments simply cannot perceive or measure. Think of it as a cosmic key, a complex vibrational signature broadcast across the entire planet and designed to fit a very specific, evolutionarily designed lock. And that lock is your dormant spiritual DNA. The recent lunar audit was the process that identified those of you whose energetic signature was high enough, whose hearts were open enough, whose inner work had cleared enough density to be receptive to this key. You were not being judged on a pass-fail basis. You were being measured for resonance. And if you are watching this, if this specific transmission has found its way to your screen, amidst the endless noise of the internet, it is because your system was flagged as you ready for activation. The sequence has already begun, but let us be perfectly, unequivocally clear. This awakening is not a gentle, poetic unfurling like a flower at dawn. It is a biological and spiritual override of a system that has been in a protected sleep mode for eons. It is the flipping of a master switch in your soul's control room, an act that sends a surge of high-frequency, creative energy through a physical and energetic system that has been running on low power for centuries. And this surge has profound, undeniable, and often physically confusing consequences. It creates symptoms, strange and powerful signals from your physical body, your emotional body, and your consciousness that are the absolute, undeniable proof that your dormant DNA is coming online. These are not signs you should merely look for. These are visceral experiences you will find impossible to ignore. They are the heralds of your own biological and spiritual rebirth, the unavoidable growing pains of a God awakening within a human shell. The first and most profound signal is what can only be described as the resonant bioresonance hum. This is not the familiar high-pitched ringing in your ears that many sensitive souls associate with spiritual downloads or communication from their guides. Impulse, although that may also be present and even intensifying. This is different. This is a deep, low-frequency vibration that you feel in your bones, in your sternum, in the very marrow of your being. It can feel like a faint electrical current running through you when you are still. When a subtle but persistent internal engine that you can feel more than you can hear laughter. It is most noticeable in moments of deep silence when you are attempting to meditate or right on the delicate threshold between wakefulness and sleep. You might have dismissed it as a symptom of anxiety, as heart palpitations, or you might have gotten up to check if a refrigerator or an electronic device was making the noise. It is not external. This is the sound of your physical DNA beginning to resonate with the incoming solar frequency for the very first time in its modern configuration. Your cells, for the first time in your entire ancestral lineage, are beginning to vibrate at their true, intended cosmic pitch. The crystalline structures woven into your DNA, long dormant and inert, are shivering, shaking off the calcified dust of ages as they are struck by the resonant frequency of the solar key. This is the first song of your awakening body. When you feel it, do not be alarmed. Do not try to suppress it. Do not think you are unwell. Close your eyes, place a hand on your heart or your solar plexus, and breathe into it. Welcome it as a sign of your homecoming. You are not malfunctioning. You are remembering your native frequency. You are tuning your sacred instrument to the grand orchestra of the cosmos. The second signal is a radical and, at times, deeply disorienting shift in your sensory perception. Let's call it the sensory recalibration. And it affects your sight and hearing most acutely, as these are the primary senses through which we interpret our external reality. Your eyes may become extremely sensitive to sunlight. An ordinary day might feel blindingly bright, forcing you to squint or seek shade. You might find yourself needing sunglasses even on overcast days, or feeling physically overwhelmed by the harsh, artificial light from screens. You are not just developing a sensitivity, you are developing a new capacity. You might also see strange artifacts in your vision that weren't there before, shimmering, heat wave-like distortions in the air, especially around living things like plants or people. You might see tiny, fleeting orbs of electric blue, violet, or gold light dancing in your peripheral vision, only to vanish when you try to look at them directly. You might notice a subtle, translucent, static-like overlay on reality, like a fine rain of pixels, especially when looking at a plain surface like a white wall or the blue sky. This is not a problem with your eyes, and you are not hallucinating. It is your optic nerve and, more importantly, your pineal gland being physically upgraded to process a wider, more complex spectrum of light and energy. You are beginning to perceive the energetic reality, the light-encoded data, the auras, the very matrix of life that exists just beyond the veil of normal human sight. For you, light is no longer just illumination. It is becoming a carrier wave for dense information. Simultaneously, your hearing is undergoing a similar, profound transformation. You might develop a powerful aversion to loud, chaotic, or dissonant sounds. The music you once loved, particularly if it was aggressive or had low vibrational lyrics, might now feel jarring, abrasive, or even emotionally manipulative. The constant noise of a crowded city, the intrusive blare of a television in a public space, the cacophony of overlapping conversations in a restaurant, might feel physically painful, sending waves of anxiety and overstimulation through your nervous system. This is because your auditory system is being retuned from a simple mechanical device into a clairsentient one. You are no longer just hearing sound waves. You are beginning to feel the vibration, the intention, and the emotional signature behind every sound. You can sense the falsehood in someone's tone, the fear behind a loud declaration, the love in a quiet whisper. Your entire sensory apparatus is being recalibrated from a simple biological tool used for survival into a sophisticated psychic instrument used for the perception of truth. This is why you find yourself craving silence with an almost desperate, primal intensity. Your system is begging for a clean signal, a moment of quiet to integrate the immense amount of new, subtle data it is receiving from the world around you, and more importantly, from within. The third signal is one that can be deeply unsettling and easily mistaken for a serious physical ailment: deep, resonant, migrating aches in your bones. This is not the familiar muscular soreness from a workout or the localized, inflammatory joint pain of arthritis. This is a strange, profound ache that feels as if it's emanating from the very core of your skeletal structure, particularly your spine, your hips, and the long bones of your legs and arms. It can manifest as a deep chill that you can't seem to shake, a strange internal pressure, or a dull, persistent throb that seems to move from one area to another on a daily or even hourly basis without any logical cause. You might have understandably blamed it on getting older, a bad mattress, nutritional deficiencies, or the weather. It is none of those things. This is the tangible, physical evidence of the deepest level of your genetic activation. Your bone marrow is the biological factory of your blood, the very source of your physical life force. The solar zenith transmission is activating your marrow to begin producing new, crystalline-based blood cells. This is a literal biological upgrade. These are cells capable of carrying more oxygen, more light, and a higher quotient of pranic, spiritual energy than ever before. Your entire circulatory and nervous systems are being upgraded to support a higher vibrational consciousness to allow your physical body to safely house the immensity of your awakening soul without short-circuiting or burning out. The ache you feel is the retooling of the factory. It is your ancient ancestral hardware being fundamentally reformatted to produce a new, divine biological software. This process requires immense amounts of physical and etheric energy, which is another primary reason for the profound, bone-deep fatigue many of you are feeling. You are not just tired, you are being completely rebuilt from the inside out. At the most fundamental level of your physical existence, you must honor this process. Rest when you feel this ache. Do not see it as a sign of weakness. Hydrate with pure, filtered water, as water is the liquid crystal conductor for these new energetic patterns. Do not try to push through it. Do not numb it with painkillers if you can possibly avoid it. Instead, lie down, place your hands on the areas that ache, and send your loving, conscious intention there. Thank your body for its incredible, tireless work. You are not sick. You are metamorphosizing. The fourth signal is the memory anomaly, and this goes far beyond simple brain fog or common forgetfulness. You are not just misplacing your keys or forgetting a name. You are experiencing spontaneous, vivid, and emotionally charged flashes of memories that you know, with an unshakable, intuitive certainty, are not from this life. You might be performing a mundane task like chopping vegetables, and suddenly have a crystal-clear, sensory-rich image of grinding herbs with a stone pestle in a sun-drenched stone room. You might be typing on a keyboard and feel the ghostly, familiar weight of a sword or a scepter in your hand. You may dream of complex star charts or alien languages, but understand them perfectly in the dream state, only to have the specific meaning fade upon waking, leaving just the feeling of knowing. You might feel a sudden, unexplainable mastery or intense interest in a complex subject you've never formally studied, like sacred geometry, advanced herbalism, quantum physics, or celestial navigation. These are not fantasies. These are not delusions. These are your dormant DNA packets coming online. Your DNA is not just a biological code for building a physical body. It is a living, quantum, holographic library containing the memories, the skills, and the wisdom of your entire soul lineage across countless lifetimes and even different dimensions. The solar transmission is acting like a divine librarian, walking through the infinite, holographic shelves of your soul's history and pulling specific books off the shelf. The ones that contain the information most relevant to your unique mission in this lifetime. Right now, you might be remembering your time as a sound healer in Lemuria, an architect of sacred temples in ancient Egypt, a diplomat between starfaring races, or a silent guardian of the Earth's energetic grid lines. These are not just nostalgic past lives to reflect upon. They are active, functional skill sets and deep wells of wisdom being brought back into your conscious awareness to be used now. This is precisely why you feel so profoundly disconnected from your current, limited identity. You look at your job, your hobbies, your societal role, and you feel like you are wearing a costume that is 2 sizes too small. Too small. You are beginning to remember that you are an ancient, vast, and powerful being, and the story you have been told in this single lifetime is but one chapter in an epic novel that spans galaxies and eons. The fifth and final signal for today's transmission is the most subtle, the most advanced, and often the most misunderstood. It is the dissolution of emotional. This is the true test of the activation's successful integration into your consciousness. You may find yourself experiencing what feels like a strange emotional numbness, a quiet and profound detachment from the world's constant drama. Situations that would have once triggered intense, predictable reactions of anger, paralyzing fear, or deep sadness in you now barely register. A person's insult, a piece of bad news, a sudden and inconvenient change of plans. You observe them, you understand their mechanics, you see the play of cause and effect, but they don't seem to hook into you with the same violent, emotional charge. The ego, your old operating system, will immediately interpret this as a catastrophic problem. It will tell you that you've become cold, apathetic, repressed, or disconnected from your heart. It will try to generate drama, to pick a fight with a loved one, to worry obsessively about the future, just to feel familiar addictive surge of adrenaline and cortisol. It will scream at you that feeling nothing is worse than feeling pain. This is its greatest lie. You are not becoming less feeling, you are becoming more centered. This is the beginning of true spiritual mastery. Your center of consciousness is physically moving from the stormy, chaotic periphery of your emotional body to the calm, still, all-seeing center of your being, the unwavering eye of the hurricane. You are detaching from the biological addiction to emotional highs and lows, the roller coaster of human drama that the ego thrives on for its very existence. This does not mean you will no longer feel love or joy or deep compassion. It means that those divine feelings will no longer be dependent on external circumstances. Your peace will come from within, unshakable by the winds of the world. Your joy will be a radiant state of being, not a fleeting reaction to a temporary event. Your love will be an unconditional radiation of your essence, not a transactional contract based on needs and expectations. This is the ultimate freedom, and it is the most terrifying state for the ego to contemplate, for it signals its own obsolescence. This is the beginning of you operating as your higher self in a physical body. This activation process is, therefore, a profound and holy paradox. To be rebuilt as a being of light, your old self, made of shadow and limitation, must first feel like it is being deconstructed. To be filled with an unwavering internal light, your deepest and most ancient shadows must be brought to the surface, to be seen, understood, and integrated, not banished or destroyed. The ego, your old operating system, will fight this process with every tool and trick it has. It will tell you that you are sick, that you are losing your mind, that you are broken beyond repair. It will point to the bone aches and call it chronic illness. It will point to the memory anomalies and call it delusion. It will point to the emotional stillness and call it depression. This is its final, desperate attempt to maintain control of a system it no longer understands. Your sacred test, during this incredibly sensitive and pivotal time, is to become the loving, compassionate, and firm parent to your own frightened inner child, which is the ego. You must learn to witness its fear without becoming it. You must learn to acknowledge its panic without believing its stories. You must anchor yourself, moment by moment, in the unwavering truth that you are a divine being undergoing a divine and a long prophesied biological and spiritual upgrade. The ultimate purpose of this solar activation is not simply to make you feel more spiritual or to give you interesting psychic experiences for your own amusement. The purpose is to prepare you, to equip you for your true role in this grand planetary shift. The world does not need more people who are merely seeking the light as an escape from the darkness. It needs more people who have courageously integrated their darkness and have become the light. It needs living oracles, stable, energetic nodes, individuals who can hold a high frequency of peace, clarity, and unconditional love in the midst of global chaos and rampant fear. This activation is your enlistment. It is the awakening of your unique soul purpose, the mission that was encoded in your DNA before you ever chose to incarnate on this planet at this specific, pivotal time in its history. Everything that is happening to you, no matter how strange or uncomfortable, is by divine design. It is a sacred, biological, and spiritual process of remembrance. Trust the hum in your cells. Trust the aches in your bones. Trust the new light in your eyes. Trust the strange, vast, and powerful new self that is emerging from the ashes of who you thought you were. You are not falling apart. You are finally, after eons of waiting, coming together. Welcome to the Great Awakening.